Welcome back to Flick Fixers, and here is another what we're watching this week. So, first up on my list is going to be Reacher. I've been a fan of the books. I was even a sort of fan of the Tom Cruise movies, although those were not in the same spirit as the books because Tom Cruise is not large enough to portray the character properly. But that's another tangent that I don't want to go down right now. Needless to say, the current iteration of Reacher, which is a television show on Amazon Prime, does fit the bill. You have an extremely large and strong man who is a former military police who now gets himself into some trouble every season and has to use both his strength and his intellect to get himself out. The show is really fun. It's got some good action for I think a lower budget Amazon show, and yeah, it's actually a lot of fun. Now, one thing I will say, and this is not something that bothers me at all, but I just notice it, and I know some people who won't like it, and that is the pacing of both the scenes themselves and the dialogue. So because they are trying to compact a book into an 8 episode, basically each season is its own book. So eight episodes, 8 to 10 episodes. They're trying to condense a book down per season, and they have to really be snappy when it comes to the dialogue and the scene length. And this can lead to some instances where you as the audience might say, well, how do they jump to that conclusion? They could have thought about it a little bit more in this way. They could have tried this, but because they are trying to tackle so much in the way of what's in the novels themselves, they have to make it snappy. And so scenes will happen really quick. Dialogue will be super snappy and witty, but just there's an air of clearly this is a script dialogue that can sometimes come out. And I don't mind it because I think it works for the character they are setting up with Reacher. He kind of works that way anyway. He doesn't like to use a lot of words. And so it does feel like the character might actually talk like that, but still, it has its drawbacks. I obviously would like some scenes to be drawn out. I do like a little bit of build up between certain events, so that is one drawback. But other than that, it's a very fun show. I highly recommend checking it out. Next up, we're going over to Yellow Jackets. This was a highly anticipated season 3 by most viewers. Me personally, not everyone here at Flick Fixers. In fact, I'm the only one. But me personally, I thought Yellow Jackets peaked in season 1, episode 1, minute 1, and has been downhill ever since. Now, that's not to say there's been nothing good, but it leaves me wanting a lot more out of all of these storylines, all of these characters. And I worry, again, this is me personally, not everyone is in agreement here. I worry that this is kind of going down the same track as Lost or as From, where they set out with an initial intriguing premise. A bunch of high school girls are lost in the wilderness after a plane crash, and there might be some scary either psychological horror elements or supernatural horror elements, and that mystery is also going to help capture you and hook you in. I worry they don't actually know what they want to do with any of that. And so each episode, it seems like they're just kind of kicking the can down the road. They don't want to reveal anything because they themselves don't know, and they haven't been able to pull it all together on their own yet, let alone reveal it to us. So that is my worry with Yellow Jackets. We are in season 3. I'm hoping that at most this does not go past season 5. This seems like it'd be a really good 5-season show to really tell a full, complete story and then get out on top. They're not at the top anymore for me. And so this show, it's kind of stagnating. It's losing a lot of its oomph, a lot of its excitement. And now we're sort of watching these characters just sort of go about their lives, and not a lot happens to them. And anything that does happen to them is sort of forced. And characters will behave in ways that are kind of random because they want them to do certain things to set up certain scenes in a certain way, and to cause conflict that otherwise wouldn't be there, when they already have this mystery of what is this force that is haunting them, and whether or not it's a metaphor for trauma, for adolescence, no matter what. The fact is, they're trying to tell this compelling story, and they have set up these potential solutions is the wrong word, but potential revelations about what is actually going on and how do these girls eventually get out, because we know they do. The beauty of this show is a flash back and forth between their time in the woods, isolated and alone, and their time in modern day where we see them as adults. And so we don't even get enough of a back and forth between a continuation of events or a continuation of character traits. So sometimes the stuff in the past is completely random and has no bearing on the modern day, and it's almost like, why have those two elements? It's almost those two stories on their own kind of are compelling enough. The back and forth is sometimes just wasted. And especially because in the past is when this mysterious entity, or not, has some pull and some sway, and they really don't want to talk about it. These writers are really trying to string us along. We're in season 3 though, and nothing has happened. So we need to get some stuff going. These guys really need to hit a stride towards the tail end of this season and continue it into season 4 if they get picked up. That's the other thing. So they need to really rock the boat here coming up at the end of season 3 as we keep watching. And last but maybe not least on my list, this one just popped out of nowhere. I came across my recommendations, Zero Day, out of Netflix. And I put it on almost mindlessly, and I was just immediately hooked in. The opening scene is super punchy. It grabs you immediately. And it's because of both the acting of Robert De Niro as well as the writing. I will also say there are some striking similarities or coincidences about real life and this show. Without revealing too much, the show takes place in obviously it's a work of fiction, but the show takes place in modern day the United States of America, where a former president his services are required once again. Not necessarily to be president, but just the government needs him one more time to help. And the characteristics of both the former president, the current president, as well as some of their defects or deficiencies, those come in massively towards bridging that gap between the show and real life. And it does make you look at this almost like an alternate reality that could have happened. And so for that alone, I was hooked immediately, but then also the drama around what is happening. You find that out rather quickly in Zero Day, and I think the trailers spoil it as well. But the show is really entertaining. I'm hooked. I want to know what's going on with this mystery. I'm not very far into it right now, so we'll see if they can land the ending. I don't even know if this is a mini series or not, but right now it's going strong, and I look forward to more of those episodes. Now you can catch all of them on Netflix, but I'm doing them. I'm giving them a little bit of a break to let them breathe and let them sit with me. So that's the wrap up of what we are watching. Let us know if you have checked out any of these shows and what you think, and also what are some shows that you're watching that I'm not. I know Succession, I know Severance. Outside of those two, which I have been bombarded with to watch them, outside of those two, what are you guys watching? And of course, we are looking forward to a lot of the shows we talked about before coming back. And when those drop, we will be here talking about them. I'll see you guys next time.